Hello and welcome to this week's live weekly warm-up. This one's going to be a little bit of a different one again, sort of like we did last week, but this is going to be a different one. I'm kind of excited for this one, partially because it involves me playing a piece that I've wanted to play for a long time. It's a very challenging piece. It's the Donald Martino set for clarinet, which if you're familiar with that piece, then you know how tricky it is. And that's sort of the whole point of this week's live weekly warm-up. We're not going to be talking about that piece or really diving into that piece, but what we are going to be doing is using that piece as a warm-up, which is kind of exciting because that's not something that normally we do for our warm-ups. Normally we sort of keep the music and the warm-up separate. We want the warm-ups to be something that's really simple musically, typically, so that we can really focus 100% of our energy on the actual playing of the instrument. But this one's going to be a really good one because we're actually taking that music, and instead of worrying about the music and trying to really get the music going well, we're really getting the clarinet playing going well on the challenging music. So this is very similar to just slow practicing, but instead of sort of focusing on the music and going slow to really get the music, we're going slow and really focusing on the clarinet playing. So let me demonstrate a little bit of this, and then I'll talk to you a little bit more about what I'm thinking as I'm doing this and why this is so useful. So this is just going to be the first line of the Martino set for clarinet. And if you're familiar with this piece, then you know that that was like maybe a tenth of the tempo that it's supposed to go. I'm just starting to learn this, so I can't even come close to playing it at tempo, but it goes much faster than that. But you can see how, first of all, by going that slow, I'm really able to get all of the notes and feel comfortable playing it, but also I'm able to really focus on the clarinet playing. So it's very similar to how we would do it as slow practicing, but we can see there's some sort of virtue to this in terms of warm-up stuff too, thinking of our long tones and our technique and our articulation. By going that slow, I'm able to focus on the sound quality on every single note, sort of like a long tone exercise. There's obviously a lot of technique in here. It's playing all kinds of different notes, and it's not a scale pattern per se, but it's sort of scale-like the way it goes up and down, but it goes through very unusual notes, not just like a major scale, but it's still practicing that technique. And let me just play the first measure again so you can see my fingers as I'm doing it and notice how quick and snappy my fingers are as well. So I'm really moving my fingers quickly and snappily, even though I'm going really slow so that the notes are really comfortable. So that's developing the technique. And then as far as articulation, in this one in particular, there isn't very much articulation to have to be worrying about because it's all slurred. But when you're doing whatever music you're working on as a warm-up, it's a good idea to play whatever articulation is actually on the page and really go for exactly the articulation that you want on the piece. So by doing this, I'm able to take this challenging music that looks really intimidating and sort of pretend it's simple. Normally with our warm-ups, we pick really simple music. We play like just a simple scale or something like that because we want to not have to worry about the music, and the music and the notes are sort of in the background, and all of it is about the clarinet playing. So when we do this with actually really challenging music, we get used to sort of letting the music take that back seat. And in the case of doing it as a warm-up, we have the quality of the playing at the front of our mind. And when we do it in performance, the music and the performing and playing the piece should be the front of our mind, and the notes are in our subconscious because we've practiced so much that it's there, and we don't need to be worried about the notes because we've learned it. And that's the really great thing about doing it this way, is it sort of gets you prepared for performing. So that's it for this one. Go ahead and find like the trickiest bits in your music, the stuff that you're always like, oh, this is just too fast. I don't have enough brain power to get through this. Take it and slow practice it for one, just like normal slow practicing when you're playing, but maybe try doing it as a warm-up and see what kind of quality you can get out of it, really thinking about really, really great clarinet playing. And remember, just like I demonstrated last week in the proper long tones, where I'll repeat things if something doesn't sound the way that I want, you can do the exact same thing when you're using your difficult music as a warm-up too. So if there's any combination of fingers or any interval that's not super well coordinated, just repeat it, slow it down, change it up, do whatever you need to get it really comfortable. So I hope this has been helpful. I look forward to seeing you on next week's live weekly warm-up, and good luck implementing your music. Leave a comment with what music you're working on and like what passage is the tricky bit that you're using as your warm-up, if you decide to implement this week. And I'm curious to see what those tricky things are that you all are doing. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week in next week's live weekly warm-up.